my name is Carla Romero. This is my Southwest Transit assignment. So for my 4 members that I ended up picking Natalie because one, she's been with the company for over 2 years. She's very positive, very ambiguous, and she aspires to eventually have her own business. She's an excellent communicator. She's skilled at winning people over and being able to navigate very tense situations with ease. She prefers written communication in order to stay focused, but the only downside to this is that she can become frustrated when conversations feel unproductive. She's motivated by challenges and opportunities. However, her occasional frustration with colleagues and their workplace habits can affect the way she does things. Despite this, her leadership is there, like she has potential to grow off of that, and she's very driven. William, he's been with the company for over 4 years, which was my second choice, and he's a very easygoing attitude, and he's a team player who unfortunately prefers to work independently. However, he's happy to lead when needed, but he's also very comfortable when it comes to supporting others. So he's able to work in that team setting even if it's not something he prefers. But he's very empathetic, he's approachable, he enjoys face-to-face communication, and he's confident that his values and his contributions will be eventually recognized. But he is unfortunately approaching retirement, but he's very motivated when it comes to doing meaningful work. But sometimes, unfortunately, he also deals with struggling to understand the balance of his work. So sometimes he'll end up taking on more than he needs. But other than that, he brings experience to the table. He's very positive, and for the most part, like, he helps make a steady preference and to ensure that he's a valued member of the team. Susan, she's been with the company for over a year, which was my third choice. She's very energetic, she's very personable, she's a strong team player who builds trust quickly, and her positive attitude and creativity are key strengths. She takes pride in delivering her quality of work, and she wants to make a meaningful impact. However, Susan can also become very overwhelmed when it comes to juggling multiple tasks or personal projects, and because of that, it affects her focus and her motivation. She's open to communication, and she sometimes struggles with active listening due to the eagerness of sharing ideas. She's driven by her purpose, and she seeks affirmation, and occasionally second guesses her work, but for the most part, she has a free spirit. She's uncertain about her long-term goals, which can sometimes make planning difficult, but overall, she's very enthusiastic, and her people skills make it very good to be on a team. But Elizabeth, she's been with the company for over 4 years, and she brings a positive collaboration approach to her work. She thrives in a team environment and is seen as flexible and approachable. She values her colleagues often value her openness, her strong listening skills, and her ability to balance diplomacy and assertiveness. But overall, she likes to see the big picture. She aims to grow within the company, and she's motivated by the trust in her abilities, and she's very flexible. So the reason these 4 were selected was because I feel like this team brings a good amount of diverse strengths and perspectives. For example, Elizabeth offers leadership experience, strategic thinking, and a diplomatic approach. Natalie brings ambition, strong communication, and the ability just to influence and negotiate effectively. William contributes stability, deep experience, and a calm, supportive presence. Susan, she's very creative, she has the energy, and she has a strong interpersonal skills that can foster trust and collaboration. Together, they balance experience with fresh ideas, assertiveness, empathy, and individuals driven within oriented values. So overall, I feel like there's a good mix and diversity within all these individuals. I don't feel like I had any problems when it came to selecting them, because after reviewing the list of everybody else, these skills I feel will eventually bring them together versus separating them. So the strengths and weaknesses of the team. Of course, Elizabeth, she's a natural leader, she's a collaborator. Natalie, she's strong, persuasive, William is experienced, supportive, and then Susan is a creative and energetic, trusted member. However, some of these personalities may clash when it comes to level of respect. Dominant personalities, some of them can be competitive, and then some may shut down, and some may be prone to distractions and may oversee approval and can be overwhelmed. In David's reading, Why Diverse Communities Are Smarter, he communicates how working with people who are different with you may challenge your brain to overcome its stale ways of thinking and sharpen its performance. Each of these individuals are diverse. There's a mix between leadership, communication, experience, and creativity. That being said, each will bring multiple approaches and will have methods of problem solving and innovation. Some of the challenges that this group may face are conflict avoidance, over-competitiveness, focus and follow-through, and then power dynamics and motivation variability. In the reading, there's several methods that can be used to help prevent and resolve conflict. One of them is talking about negotiation, which is when two or more parties come to a concession through offers or counteroffers. This team could use integrative negotiation, which is essentially a win-win situation. Being able to distribute the work equally and in a timely manner will benefit them. And then in the reading, it talks about how a few people may shut down, but I feel like Natalie would be able to bring out her outgoing personality, her easygoing personality in order to foster healthy communication. This would be shown through active listening, asking questions, and occasionally giving feedback. And then another thing that I saw was how some of these team members struggle with being perfectionists. So one method that can help prevent this is essentially assigning people specific tasks. For example, one person will be responsible for gathering information, while the other person will be using this information in order for their projects, but they're not able to essentially find more sources than they need to, keeping it very minimal and keeping it just to the few sources that were found. So for the conscientious capitalism and the principles, so there's 4 principles, which is the higher purpose, the stakeholder orientation, the conscientious leadership, and the conscientious culture. So for the first one, a business should exist for reasons beyond profit, like making a positive impact on society, employees, and customers. So for example, the stakeholders, it also talks about how businesses should create value for all stakeholders, not just shareholders, but employees, customers, suppliers, and the community. And then for conscientious leadership, leaders should be self-aware and focused on serving the purpose and the people of the community. And then an organization should cultivate a culture based on trust, accountability, integrity, learning, and care. So some of the ways that this group shows these different types of principles is, for example, the team members show concerns for others through empathy, collaboration, listening, and doing work that positively impacts their colleagues. For example, Elizabeth listens to others, she hears their perspectives, and she's very open-minded, and she aims for resolutions. Susan could build trust with relationships and her coworkers, and she feels accomplished when her work improves the lives of others. And for the higher purpose and beyond, Natalie essentially aspires to have her own business, so that shows that she wants that drive for another purpose. And then Elizabeth wants to grow and contribute to the company, which is tasks that are beyond just her, like she wants to better the company. And then for conscientious leadership and collaboration, several members are seeing these different types of personalities, which for example is Elizabeth, Natalie, and sometimes William. They're willing to take on that leadership, and they also prefer open communication, diplomacy, listening, team orientation, and this will foster a culture where leadership is probably what's best for all these individuals. And then for a conscientious culture, the prophets show values like flexibility, the profiles show values like flexibility, attitude, trust, collaboration, and they also recognize others. So yeah, but that's pretty much what I have for that. And then for how this team would create a positive impact is essentially how so team members like Elizabeth and Susan will promote open communication and collaboration. William will help reduce the stress. Natalie will help drive the performance and inspire others, and creating trust and motivation that will also create a respectful environment. And then Elizabeth, she's thinking of the big picture, and with that, this also aligns with decisions that clients may need or want. Susan, she focuses on the quality and making a difference, which will also enhance customer satisfaction. And then Natalie, communication skill, she'll be able to smooth over customers essentially the same way she'd be able to do it within her group. And then there's the team leadership, of course, and then the clear communication, and then the motivation. So all of these different things will create their own positive impact within the company and the assignment that they've been brought upon. But in conclusion, this team was carefully selected based off of the balance, the speed, the leadership, and the collaboration, because the company is unfortunately facing a severe time crunch. So the goal is with Elizabeth's leadership and Natalie's drive and Susan's accountability, it'll create a high impact. They'll be able to create a high impact campaign within the next 6 weeks. They'll be able to boost their sales, minimize burnout, and hopefully create a sustainable long-term impact. But yeah, that's pretty much what I have for my assignment. Thank you.